Sorghum, sorghum bicolor, belongs to Poaceae, is one of the main coarse cereal crops of India. This crop is ideally suited for semi-arid agroclimatic regions of the country, and it gives reasonably good yield with minimal requirement of irrigation and fertilizers as compared to other cereals such as wheat and rice. Mostly cultivated in the semi-arid regions for fodder to feed the large cattle population of the country, as well as to meet the demand of industrial applications. Sorghum is the world's fifth most important cereal crop after rice, wheat, maize, and barley. This bicolor is typically an annual, but some cultivars are perennial. It grows in clumps that may reach over 4 meters high. The grain is small, ranging from 2 to 4 millimeters in diameter. Sweet sorghum are sorghum cultivars that are primarily grown for foliage, syrup production, and ethanol. They are taller than those grown for grain. Sorghum is grown in the Kharif, that is rainy season, and Rabi, post-rainy season. But the share of Kharif is higher both in terms of area under cultivation and production. Rabi crop is almost entirely used for the human consumption, whereas Kharif crop is not very popular for human consumption and largely is used for animal feed, starch, and alcohol industry. Only 5% of the area under sorghum in India is irrigated. Over 48% of the area under sorghum cultivation in the country is in Maharashtra and Karnataka. The vernacular names of sorghum is Juar in Bengali, Gujarati and Hindi, Jola in Kannada, Cholam in Malayalam and Tamil, Jwari in Marathi, Janha in Oriya, Jonnalu in Telugu. Origin: sorghum originated in Africa and introduced to East in approximately 700 BCE through the trade route between East Africa and India via Arabia. Shipping trade also took place from India all along the coast of Asia, with the result that sorghum also found its way to China. Sorghum originally reached the USA as a result of the slave trade from West Africa, but later 1874 to 1908 also from North Africa, India and South Africa. The word sorghum was derived from sorgo, the Italian name for the plant. Geographic distribution: the leading producers of the sorghum bicolor in 2016 were United States, Mexico, Nigeria, Sudan, India, Ethiopia, Argentina, China, and Australia. Sorghum is grown all parts of the world except cool northeast part of the Europe. Sorghum belts in India receive 400 to 1000 mm rainfall. In the world, Africa, that is Nigeria and Sudan, is the major continent cultivates sorghum, and North America, South America and Asian continents also grow sorghum. In India, mainly in central and peninsular India, such as Maharashtra, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu and Gujarat are important states cultivating sorghum crop. Economic importance: sorghum, a grain, forage or sugar crop, is among the most efficient crops in conservation of solar energy and use of water. Sorghum is known as a high-energy, drought-tolerant crop. Because of its wide use as adaptation, sorghum is one of the really indispensable crops required for the survival of humankind. Sorghum is high in nutritional values with low fat about 3%, high starch more than 70%, high protein 12-13%, iron more than 70 ppm, zinc 50 ppm, but it is deficient in amino acids like arginine, glycine, tyrosine and methionine. Some of the major uses of jawar in India are: jawar is a staple food of very large population of India. It provides good quality fodder for the livestock. It can withstand drought conditions and extreme heat. It can tolerate soil salinity and waterlogging up to some extent. Hybrid varieties gives more yield compared to other cereals. It can be grown on variety of soils and climate. It provides raw material to starch, alcohol industry, etc. Jowar is known as great millet because of larger grains and having vast area under it. It is ground into flour and eaten in the form of bakri, roti, etc. It is cooked like rice and eaten known as gugriya. Yearhead of some sweet varieties at milk stage are baked on fire and eaten as hurda. The grains are also used for manufacturing pop grain, starch, glucose, malt, etc. Some varieties are specially grown for fodder, which is fed to cattle in green stage. Soil and climatic requirement. Soil. Sorghum will yield best on deep, fertile, well-drained, loamy soils. However, it is quite tolerant of shallow soil and droughty conditions. Sorghum grown on deep, well-drained, permeable soils usually develop extensive root systems. Mature plant roots may penetrate to depth of 4 to 6 feet in an ideal soil. Root development can be severely restricted by soil conditions such as excessively high or low soil moisture levels, hard pan and compactions. Sorghum has moderate salt tolerance, slightly less than wheat but higher than maize. It does well in pH range of 6 to 8.5 as it tolerates considerable salinity and alkalinity. Sorghum is sensitive to aluminum toxicity and soils with acid saturation higher than 20% can pose a problem. Varieties. 37 varieties of sorghum have been released by Directorate of Sorghum Research, Hyderabad, suitable for different agroclimatic conditions of India. Apart from these varieties, many local varieties are also being cultivated. Cultural practices and yield. 4 common seasons of sorghum crop in Tamil Nadu are Thaipattam, that is January to February, Chitraipattam, April to May, Adipattam, June to July, and Purattasipattam, September to October. Selection of seeds. Good quality seeds are collected from disease and pest-free fields. Seed rate. In irrigated conditions for transplanting method 7.5 kg per hectare, for direct sowing method 10 kg per hectare, for rain-fed direct sowing method 15 kg per hectare is required. Irrigated cultivation. In that one, first step, nursery preparation. For rising seedlings, to plant 1 hectare, select 7.5 cents, that is about 300 square meters, near a water source where water do not stagnate. Apply 750 kg of farmyard manure or compost and keep ready another 500 kg of compost or farmyard manure for covering the seeds after sowing. Spread the manure evenly on the unplowed soil and incorporate by plowing or apply just before last plowing. Provide 3 separate units of 2 meter into 1.5 meter with 30 cm space in between the plots and all around the unit for irrigation. Excavate the soil from the interspace and all around to a depth of 15 cm to form channels and spread the soil removed on the bed and level it. Pre-treatment of seeds. Treat the seeds 24 hours prior to sowing with carbendazim or captan or thiram at 2 gram per kg of seed. Treat the seeds with 3 packets of 600 gram per hectare of azospirillum and 3 packets of 600 grams of phosphobacteria or 6 packets of 1200 gram azophos using rice gruel as binder. Sowing and covering the seeds. Make shallow rill not deeper than 1 cm on the bed by fingers and drop a thin row of seeds in the rill, or else broadcast 7.5 kg of treated seeds evenly on the beds. Cover the rills by leveling by passing the hand gently, lightly over the soil. Main field preparation. Plowing. Plow the field with an iron plow once or twice. Application of farmyard manure. Spread 12.5 metric ton per hectare of FIM or composted coir pith along with 10 packets of azospirillum, that is 2 kg per hectare, and 10 packets, that is 2 kg per hectare of phosphobacteria or 20 packets of azophos, 4 kg per hectare on the unplowed field and incorporate the manure in the soil. Apply well-decomposed poultry manure at 5 metric ton per hectare to improve the grain yield as well as physical properties of soils. Application of fertilizers. Apply NPK fertilizers as per soil test recommendations. If soil test recommendations are not available, adopt a blanket recommendation of 90 nitrogen, 45 P2O5, 45 K2O kgs per hectare. Apply nitrogen at 50:25:25% at basal, 15 and 30 DAS and full dose of phosphorus pentoxide and K2O basally before planting. Transplanting sorghum plants. Pull out the seedlings when the seedlings are 15 to 18 days old. Prepare a slurry with 5 packets of azospirillum 1 kg per hectare and 5 packets 1 kg per hectare of phosphobacteria or 10 packets of azophos 2 kg per hectare in 40 liters of water and dip the root portion of the seedlings in the solution for 15 to 30 minutes and then transplant. Plant 1 seedling per hill at depth of 3 to 5 cm. Plant the seedlings on the side of the ridge, half distance from the top of the ridge and the bottom. Maintain a spacing of 15 cm between plants in the row, which are 45 cm apart. That gives 15 plants per square meter. Weed management. Apply the pre-emergence herbicide atrazine 50 WP at 500 gram per hectare on third day after sowing as spray on the soil surface using 900 liters of water per hectare. Sorghum is slow growing in early stages and is adversely affected by weed competition. Therefore, keep the field free of weeds up to 45 days. For this, after pre-emergence herbicide application, one hand weeding and 30 to 35 days after sowing are to be ensured. If pulse crop is to be raised as an intercrop in sorghum, do not use atrazine. Only resort to hoeing and hand weeding. Thinning of the seedlings and gap filling. Thin the seedlings and fill the gap with the seedlings thinned out. Water management. Usually, sorghum is raised as a rain-fed crop. The irrigated should be, however, be provided whenever rains are not sufficient. At the time of flowering and grain filling stages, the crop requires more water. At no stage, the plant should be allowed to wilt. Suitable drainage conditions should be provided for the removal of excess rain water from the field. About 400 millimeters of water is required to raise grain sorghum crop. Harvesting and processing. Consider the average duration of the crop and observe the crop. When the crop matures, the leaves turn yellow and present a dried up appearance. The grains are hard and firm. At this stage, harvest the crop by cutting the ear heads separately. Cut the straw after a week, allow it to dry and then stack. In case of tall varieties, cut the stem at 10 to 15 cm above the ground level and afterwards separate the ear head and stack the straw. Dry the ear heads, thresh using mechanical thresher or by drawing a stone roller over the ear heads or by using cattle and dry the produce and store. Rain-fed cultivation. Average and well-distributed rainfall of 250 to 300 mm is optimal for rain-fed sorghum cultivation. Distribution. Rain-fed sorghum is cultivated in Madurai, Dindigul, Theni, Ramanathapuram, Tirunelveli, Thuthukudi, Virudhunagar, Sivagangai, Tiruchirappalli, Erode, Salem, Namakkal, Coimbatore and Dharmapuri districts of Tamil Nadu. Season. The crop can be grown in southwest and northeast monsoon seasons. Field preparation is as in case of irrigated cultivation method. Seed rate 15 kg per hectare. Seed treatment. Seed hardening ensures high germination. The seeds are pre-soaked in 2% potassium dihydrogen phosphate solution for 6 hours in equal volume and then dried back to its original moisture content in shade and are used for sowing. Soak the seeds in 500 ppm of chlorumquat chloride (CCC) for 6 hours and shade dry the seeds for 5 hours. Use 300 ml of solution for soaking 1 kg of seed. Pre-monsoon sowing. Sow the hardened seeds at 5 cm depth with seed cum fertilizer drill to ensure uniform depth of sowing and fertilizer application before the onset of monsoon as detailed below. District optimum period. In Coimbatore district, 37th to 38th week, that is 2nd to 3rd week of September. In Erode district, 38th week, that is 3rd week of September. Shivaganga, 40th week, 1st week of October. Ramanathapuram, 40th week, that is 1st week of October. Thuthukudi, 39th to 40th week, last week of September to 1st week of October. Vellore, Tiruvannamalai, 37th to 38th week, September 2nd week to September 3rd week. Sowing. Sow the seeds well before the onset of monsoon at 5 cm depth by seed drill or by quintry plough and cover with the soil. The seed is pelletized with 15 g of chloropyrifos in 150 ml of gum and shade dried. Sow the sorghum seeds over the line where the fertilizers are applied. Spacing 45 into 15 cm or 45 into 10 cm. Fertilizer application. Apply 12.5 metric ton per hectare of composted coir pith plus NPK at 40:20:0. Apply enriched FIM 750 kg per hectare. The recommended dose of 40 kg nitrogen, 20 kg P2O5 per hectare for rain-fed sorghum can be halved if FIM at 5 metric ton per hectare is applied. Cropping system. The most profitable and remunerative sorghum-based cropping system adopted is sorghum with cowpea, red gram, lub, black gram, etc. Ratoon sorghum crop. Ratooning technique. Harvest the main crop leaving 15 cm stubbles. Remove the first formed two sprout from the main crop and allow only the later formed two sprouts to grow. Allow 2 tillers per hill. Hoeing and weeding. Remove the weeds immediately after the harvest of the main crop. Hoe and weed twice on 15th and 30th day after cutting. Water management. Irrigate immediately after cutting the main crop. Irrigation should not be delayed for more than 24 hours after cutting. Irrigate on 3rd or 4th day after cutting. Subsequently, irrigate once in 7 to 10 days. Stop irrigation on 70th to 80th day after ratooning. Harvest. Harvest the crop when the grains turn yellow. The duration of the ratoon crop is about 15 days less than the main crop. Insect and pest management. Shoot fly and stem borer are the major insect pests occurring during the Rabi season. Shoot fly, Aterigona succata. Planting with onset of monsoon in Kharif and between September end to first week of October is ideal to escape from shoot fly. Another important practice is to increase seed rate and destroy the dead hard seedlings after removal. Furrow application of carbofuran 3G at 2 grams per row or spray cypermethrin 10 EC at 0.02% coinciding with shoot fly oviposition only for late sown crop. Stem borer Chilopartellus. Destroy thrashed sorghum earheads before on the onset of monsoon. Use high seed rate and thin out the infected plants after 10 to 12 days after sowing. Apply endosulfan 4G or carbon fern 2GM at 8 to 10 kg per hectare in plant rows at 20th and 35th day after germination. Disease management. Grain mold in Kharif and charcoal rot in Rabi are the two major diseases affecting sorghum. Grain mold. Molds occur when flowering coincides with rainfall. The grains turn black, white or pink in color. Grow resistant cultivars. Spray earheads with Orifungin 200 ppm plus 0.2% Captan 3 times from flowering at 10 days interval or Dithanium 45.2% plus Bavistin 0.2% twice at 10 days intervals after commencement of flowering. Charcoal rot. Charcoal rot is a significant Rabi sorghum disease caused by the fungus Marcopomina fasciolina, which is serious in the shallow soils in dry areas of Maharashtra and Karnataka. Apply minimum dose of nitrogenous fertilizers with low plant density in infected soils. Adopt intercropping rather than sole cropping. Resort to moisture conservation practices like mulching with wheat straw and soil treatment with thiram at 4.5 kg per hectare at the time of sowing. Harvest and yield. The crop will be ready in single cut varieties for harvesting at 65 to 75 days after sowing, 50% of flowering stage. In multi-cut varieties, first cut should be done at 45 to 50 days after sowing, and subsequent cuts should be carried out at 1 month intervals. Grain yield of 4 to 6 metric ton and fodder yield of 15 to 20 metric ton can be obtained under irrigated conditions. In rain-fed conditions, 50 to 60% of the grain yield and 60 to 80% of the fodder yield can be obtained. Under ratoon conditions, mainly sorghum is raised for fodder purpose and about 15 metric tons of fodder yield can be obtained. Summary: Sorghum bicolor, belongs to Poaceae, is one of the main coarse cereal crops of India. Sorghum is the world's fifth most important cereal after rice, wheat, maize and barley. Sorghum bicolor is typically an annual, but some cultivars are perennial. Sweet sorghums are sorghum cultivars that are primarily grown for foliage, syrup production and ethanol. They are taller than those grown for grain. Sorghum has high nutrition values with low fat of 3%, high starch more than 70%, high protein 12 to 13%, iron more than 70 ppm, zinc more than 50 ppm. But it is deficient in amino acids like arginine, glycine, tyrosine and methionine. Sorghum will yield best on deep, fertile, well-drained, loamy soils. However, it is quite tolerant of shallow soils and droughty conditions. 37 varieties of sorghum has been released by Directorate of Sorghum Research, Hyderabad, suitable for different agroclimatic conditions of India. Apart from these varieties, many local varieties are also being cultivated. Grain yield of 4 to 6 metric ton and fodder yield of 15 to 20 metric ton can be obtained in sorghum. Thank you.